Yo guys, it's me, Freak Crow, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the Lego Fairbairn Sykes knife. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it still, but I think I'm getting a bit better. Normally I don't talk over these, but for this tutorial I'm going to try to because it is a little complicated, this thing. Everything is kind of just connected, and it strings together through this one tube in the middle, but overall it's pretty dang nice for what scale it is. Okay, so in the description, there are timestamps, and it shows you every single time that I flash what parts you're going to need. This knife is pretty black intensive. A lot of parts that you might not have in black, so sorry for that. Especially these tires. I tried to Google them, and I genuinely just searched old Lego tires, and I think they're just called old smooth Lego tires. I had to get them from my dad. I had none of them. I didn't even know they existed, but they were perfect for the handle. And so for the handle, the pommel was pretty obvious for me. I just kind of understood that this was the good piece to use. In fact, I think that's exactly where I started with this build. And I really debated whether or not I wanted to use tires, because I hate when people use Lego tires for anything. They always have that rubberized look to them. But in this case, I tried using those smooth ones, and then I had to just kind of use the Lego race wheel tires, but didn't want to. But I didn't know how else to get that handle look, because if you look up the actual knife, it's got this real smooth looking handle with all these ribs on it, and there's just no other way to do that without tires, unless you stair step it with plates, but that's gonna look ugly. So tires probably the right way to go. Didn't want to use it, but overall definitely the good choice. Alright, so this tube in the back, this is cut to be custom length for the knife. Now I know what you're thinking, ew, you cut it? Yeah, I thought the same thing, but it's actually a completely legitimate technique. I never knew that. It's pneumatic tube or whatever, and it was just great for connecting all these tires, especially since some of them have the Technic peg versus the axle. So, sue me, it's legitimate. All right, now these are the weird tires. Now they've got these kind of circular holes rather than the axle holes that you see on the other tires. So need a clever way to stop them from just kind of wobbling around on that small little hose. So we use these little Technic peg things. I don't know what you call them. They're pins or something. I call them all kinds of things, but basically they're these little tiny ones. They have like a stud connector on one side, and that prevents the tires from rolling around all over the place when you're holding the knife. They do still kind of roll. I mean, technically even the pommel and the blade will roll, but if you're just holding it or if you're just looking at it, it's not that big of a deal. It's not a real functioning piece of, like, weaponry, you know? It's like, what are you gonna do? It's Lego, alright? It looks good, and that's all that matters. That and clutch power. Holy cow, this thing has some clutch power. This thing is nuts. I had such a hard time pulling this thing apart, and in the end of this video, putting it back together. So, here's the blade and the hilt. They're kind of a connected piece, but for the sake of making this easier, we're gonna break it down into smaller segments that will be a lot easier to make. I don't remember too much about making this knife because it was kind of a long time ago, but I know for a fact that I had such an annoying time trying to slim down the handguard because it's very small and thin. It's like this weird elongated squashed oval, and it was still too big when I had built it out of Lego, but there was nothing I could really do. Like, I think we had reached a point where I just have to put a plate on the side of my knife, and that would look disgusting, and it would look all like, it would look like a Minecraft knife. And that's not what this is. And I specified, once again, specified in the description that you need 2 of these, what I'm showing you right now. So, hopefully anybody building this in real life noticed that. If you are actually building this, I feel so sorry for you, because the next step is the blade. The most disgusting thing ever built is this blade. I remember when I was first making that switchblade, that was my first knife that I had built, and making that really, really thin point was, ugh, because it's the longest possible, currently the longest possible slope you can get, and it's just perfectly tapered in the center, and to get that perfect taper, everything has to be centered. And I was like, well, how the heck do you do that? I've got this weird unfillable gap. And then I found this technique that uses a lot of headlight bricks, 1x1 studs, all the stuff that you don't want to use a lot of. Oh. And not that I have to keep specifying this, but I broke this half of the knife into 2 different parts. But if you look in the description, it already tells you that, which, you know, why would you start cooking the cake without knowing first that you have all the ingredients? I don't know. But some people do. Oh, and I just realized I made a mistake with the 1x4. I forgot to tell you you needed it, but I'm sorry. Should have been self-explanatory. Ugh, it's your fault. No, I'm just kidding. It was my fault. I was lazy. I should have just refilmed it, but I don't want to refilm this part. It's disgusting. This looks pretty bad, I know. A lot of headlight bricks, a lot of 1x1s, some Technic bricks. There's that brick with the 4 studs on each side or whatever. And this is bad. I had a hard time remembering what went where. That's always such a hard thing when making these videos because I don't want to have to go back and forth making these really small parts. I want to get them done in big sections because it's just easier for me and easier to watch. But oh my goodness, trying to memorize where all the parts go. I know, it's my model, I should know. But I only built it 1 time. So I don't memorize it. So I do take pictures of my knives before I disassemble them just in case there's a catastrophic event and I have to sit there and scientifically put it back together with those photos. But here we are. Alright, you want to guess where this goes? Yeah, that's right. It fits like a glove right in that one spot that I left open. And then there's this part, which is kind of gross. I think it just sits like 2 studs away, or 2 studs away for that other piece that we have, which is also going to fit on this piece like a glove. Oh, and we're pretty much done. We just have to put everything together, which that's like really easy compared to what I've just done. I don't know if you've done it. I'm not gonna say we. What did you do to help me with this? No, I'm just kidding. Come on, maybe I'm not kidding. Okay, the tip of the knife has always been a problem. You see how they kind of split apart like a snake's tongue? That happens. There's a way to fix it, and I don't really know what the way is. Usually for me, I just mess around with it for a really long time. It just works itself out. And then, okay, for the handguard, it's kind of, you can just see it there. There's not much I have to explain with that one. It does leave a small gap right there, but you don't see it. It's literally fully covered, and it doesn't really ruin its structural integrity. Like I said, it's not even really a tool, so why do you care? And this is the part where I hurt myself, because this thing is like, it's like trying to break a solid brick of concrete with one hand. It's like, there's just no way. I had to cut the video and then assemble it myself, but we're done. There it is. The Fairbairn Sykes knife. However you say it, it's the World War II fighting knife. It looks amazing. That does it for this video. If you enjoyed, leave a like. If you have a comment, please leave one. This has been your boy Freak Crow signing off, and peace.